Hi, and welcome back to this Thursday edition of Focal Point, AFR Talk. Great to have you in the program. And again, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840 if you want to join the conversation. And we were talking in the last segment about the fact that the left, the mainstream media, absolutely apoplectic over this NRA ad. And all the NRA ad says is, hey, if President Obama's kids go to a school that's protected with weapons, why shouldn't your kids go to a school that's protected by people that have weapons and know how to use them? Are your kids less valuable? Are they less important to you than President Obama's kids? And you had some people on the left out there saying, yeah, your kids aren't as important. President Obama's kids are way more important than your kids. Your kids don't deserve the kind of protection that President Obama's kids deserve. I mean, you had people on the left actually out there saying that yesterday. Now, here's a clip from an ABC news story. And again, remember that the President Obama in the campaign, his spokesman, Stephanie Cutter, said Mitt Romney is a felon. You had ads out there. He killed a guy's wife with cancer. You had ads, Paul Ryan pushing Granny off the cliff in a wheelchair, but somehow those weren't vicious. Those weren't harsh. Those weren't personal. But what the NRA ad did yesterday was way over the line. Let's listen.
And in a sign of just how tough this fight will be, the NRA is greeting the president's announcement this morning with a harsh personal attack on the president.
Obama demands
the NRA video viciously attacks the president.
He's just another elitist hypocrite.
The attack comes just a week after the NRA was invited to the White House to meet with Vice President Biden. Even without a personal attack like that, taking on the NRA isn't easy. And trying to convince Congress to vote for gun control, the president is hoping for an assist from kids, like 11-year-old Julia, who wrote the president in a letter obtained by ABC News, "I have 4 brothers and sisters, and I know I would not be able to bear the thought of losing any of them." Her idea, it should be very hard for people to buy guns.
So that's ABC. Vicious, harsh, personal, the attack. And by the way, the NRA is showing us how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. I hope the Republicans are watching what's happening here. NRA is not backing down. They are not backing away. They are taking President Obama on full frontal assault. This is how you do it. This is what nobody could get through the head of Mitt Romney. Politics ain't beanbag. You got to bring a flamethrower. If they're bringing a knife, you at least got to bring a knife to this gunfight. If they bring a gun, you got to bring a gun. They bring a flamethrower, you got to bring a flamethrower. Instead, Mitt Romney was showing up. You've got Barack Obama. He's out there with a hatchet and a tomahawk and fully automatic weapons. And Mitt Romney is trying to fight him with a Nerf gun. It doesn't work. And that's one of the reasons why he got creamed. The base just did not show up. And NRA is showing how you do it. You take the gloves off, you get in the ring, and you duke it out. And you don't back down. You don't retreat. You don't apologize. You keep moving forward. You know, that's why the national animal of Australia is the kangaroo. You know why it's the national animal? Because it never retreats. Kangaroos, or the emu, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but it cannot back up. It is unable to back up. It's unable to retreat. It just moves. The kangaroo, it just moves forward. That's the only direction it can move. Now, here's Rand Paul, clip 10. Remember we saw Stephanie Cutter saying, man, we are still in campaign mode. And remember, we've heard these Democrats, they're saying, look, this is not going to pass the Senate. We're not going to vote for this. We're up for re-election next year. There's no way in the world I'm putting my political career on the line for this. So that means that President Obama is going to have to do whatever he does by executive diktat. That's what fascists do. That's what Mark Levin was talking about yesterday. This is a display of fascism if the president carries through on his threat to act without the cooperation of Congress. Here's what Senator Rand Paul had to say about that.
But it's been a long battle that we've been losing gradually, and even Republican presidents have also usurped their executive privilege to exert more authority than the Constitution gave them. But, you know, our founders looked to Montesquieu, and Montesquieu wrote that there can be no liberty when you combine the executive and legislative powers. You have separation of powers, so the powers check and balance each other, and I'm very concerned about this president. FDR had a little bit of this king complex also. We had to limit FDR finally because he served so many terms that I think he would have ruled in perpetuity. I'm very concerned about this president garnering so much power and arrogance that he thinks he can do whatever he wants.
And again, there's Rand Paul showing you how you do it. You call him out. That's Rand Paul saying that we have a president who has too much power and is arrogant and thinks he can do whatever he wants. You're not going to see Rand Paul backing off of that. You're not going to see Rand Paul apologizing for that. You're not going to see the NRA apologizing for saying your kids deserve the same protection that the president does. That is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one last clip before we go to the phones, 888-589-8840. Here is a Texas Democrat, Keisha Rogers. She was a candidate for the Congress in Texas's 22nd district. So she is a Democrat candidate for higher office. Here's what she had to say about President Obama. This is a Democrat speaking.
I would like to speak today very plainly and boldly to the population and hope that the words that I speak today will muster in you the courage to fight. For now, we are hanging on the thread of the end of civilization and the risk of the extinction of mankind for some time to come if we do not take the immediate action of removing Obama from the White House now. Obama's mass murderous policies is not a policy of speculation, it's a policy of fact. What we've seen under this administration is the continued existence of a president who is acting just as Lyndon LaRouche warned in his April 11th, 2009 warnings that Obama is of the personality of an Emperor Nero and Adolf Hitler. These warnings have been proven right time and time again by almost every one of Obama's policies.
Well, there's a Democrat showing you how it's done. Even Hitler would be proud of the policies that are touted by this president. That is a Texas Democrat. So that's not me saying that. I'm just quoting her. Even Hitler would be proud of the policies that are touted by this president. Well, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Mike in the Woodlands, Texas. Mike, you're on Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. How's it going today?
Good. How are you doing?
Great, brother. First off, I really appreciate everything that you guys promote. I listen to you, and as far as gun control goes, then first off, if we, the people, cannot have weapons of mass destruction or whatever you want to call them, high-capacity magazines, then nobody can have them. If we're going to outlaw them for everybody, the military, the police, the sheriffs, the SWAT squads, nobody can have them.
Well, you know, and the problem, Mike, is that you got millions of these high-capacity magazines that are already out there. There's no way to get all of those back. So that means you can ban them today, but the bad guys, the good guys might not be able to get them, but the bad guys will.
And how many of those got sent to Mexico under Eric Holder and President Obama on the Fast and Furious thing?
Yeah, that is something, isn't it? They want to take guns away from us at the same, and these are the same people that are putting guns, these semi-automatic weapons that they say are so bad. They're the ones that are putting these guns in the hands of the Mexican drug cartels.
Second off, if we as a people approve, and I don't, but if we as a people approve of abortion, then let's, and again, let's carry this over to the gun control thing. How many bullets did the Germans use to kill people?
Well, none. You're exactly right. I mean, you used gas. Well, they used guns on some. I mean, they gunned them down, but they used gas.
It was very minimal.
Yeah.
It wasn't required. It wasn't necessary. They figured out another way to do it, and there's just piles and piles of bodies.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I'm looking here, Mike, at a story about a guy in Massachusetts got beat outside a pizza shop in Greenwich Village. He got jumped by a gang of 7 guys. They beat him with a baseball bat and a tire iron. He's hanging on for his life. So what's Obama going to say? We got to ban baseball and we got to ban wheels to stop the madness? And here's a guy that got run over by an SUV when the dog jumped in the car and pushed on the accelerator. So what are we going to do, ban dogs to stop the madness? Anyway, Mike, go ahead and finish your thought.
Also, above and beyond everything, as Americans, we have got to figure out, and Christians, above and beyond everything as Christians, we've got to figure out that we have to protect ourselves. It doesn't just mean against the carjacker, against the rapist, against the bank robber. You have to have the ability to protect yourself against the government. And our government just now is busting up, and they're having a severe problem. We don't have people that are doing the right thing. We need them. And all I can do is every day I pray for the leaders of our country to turn to God, to look for his guidance, and to please help us get this right.
All right. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate the call. And, you know, Mike's exactly right. The purpose of the Second Amendment is not just for hunting, and it's not just for self-defense. It is as a protection against tyranny. Here's Thomas Jefferson. I read this the other day, but I'm keeping this in the stack here, so it's handy. The strongest reason for people to retain the right to keep and bear arms is, as a last resort, to protect themselves against tyranny in government. That is the icon of the left, Thomas Jefferson. In fact, you know, the whole point of the Second Amendment was to protect military-style weapons so that we could protect and defend our newly declared liberty and freedom. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Here is a word of blessing for the rest of your day. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Bow low before God, stand tall before man, stand in the gap. Never forget, we are fighting the winnable war. See you tomorrow.
The views and opinions expressed